This is Callie K. Cool Weaver with Alex Hodge at Midnights at Talk Show.
Whoever thoughts at Midnight Talk Show. And today, and Callie and I, we were just talking about an old, very ancient topic of Wu Wei. Wu Wei is, it's a Chinese phrase, and what it means is it has several translations into English. Non-doing, not trying, non-forcing, and it doesn't mean don't do anything. What it really gets down to is it's like when we see someone who is faking it, like you see that they're forcing it, right? You can tell that their persona it is forced. I don't know how often people notice it when someone's forcing a nice gesture, but they're not really being nice, or but Wu Wei gets into this idea of when when nothing is done, nothing is left undone. So sometimes we can really get into something. We can really get into something, really try. Oh, I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to push this onto this, whatever, and it just doesn't seem to be working in your favor. Or even if you're playing a video game or something, here's something relatable to the gamers out there. You just can't get past this boss. It's not happening. No matter how many times you force trying to figure it out, but then when you leave it for a bit, when you stop trying, then somehow, sometimes when you get back into it, then you beat the thing without effort. That's because you're in what's called the flow state. Athletes talk about this. It's called getting in the zone. Especially basketball players. They talk about this idea of getting in the zone. Fighters do too. And they're not forcing any of their movements. It is just graceful. It's flowing. It's effortless action. Um, Callie Callie, for you, that idea finally just clicked
Yeah,
about personality.
yeah, we had been discussing this for what, 2, 3 weeks now, where you kept saying, stop trying, stop forcing. And it just never clicked exactly what you meant by stop trying. To me, stop trying means, oh, I don't have to clean my room. Stop trying. It gets into a huge disaster. Oh, I don't have to take a shower. Like I don't even have to try. But that's not what it meant.
Mhm.
I did not understand that. What Alex is talking about with Wu Wei, and by the way, guys, Wu Wei is spelled Wuwei.
Yes,
Just
thank you for that, Callie. Because I had a guy that wants to get it tattooed, and I'm hoping he doesn't spell it wrong.
Wu Wei. No, but anyway, I came up with the well, I live in a place that, kind of bunkers down on rules. Yes, I am an adult. I live in a group home. Um, but what was going on was not just the people who are here, my parents, but I myself was also doing this, where I was trying to go and make myself into someone that I wasn't, into someone that didn't exist. Change my personality around, do a whole 180, be that quiet girl who just sits in the corner reading, like not really saying anything, not getting into dirty jokes or anything like that. Because for all of the people who know me out there, I'm a real jokester. I
Yeah.
really am. But I kept getting like written up and in trouble for these things that I would be doing, and they kept trying to push on me. Be the clean girl. Be the quiet girl. Be the girl who does stuff but doesn't do bad things. And I realized was it last night that I had my
Last night we had this conversation and like it clicked,
it
and you had an interpretation of it that's really working for you. Yeah.
yeah. So what Wu Wei's in my interpretation of it is personality wise, you can't force someone to be someone they're not.
Nope.
You
It
can't
ain't
force
happening.
someone. And with
You
me trying to
even
force
with me, you can't get in this thing. Yeah.
I was trying too hard to make myself become someone I wasn't. And I realized stop trying. Stop forcing. And Alex said the words that I really needed to hear, desperately needed to hear, which were it's okay to be yourself.
Mhm.
It's okay. Stop fighting.
Mhm.
And those words really resonated with me. He also said like stop along with like stop fighting. So what if you don't get out? That has
Mhm.
been my biggest goal since I moved in here, and they keep waving it over my head. Like, do you want to get out? Do you not want to get out? Do you want to get out? And
Sure. Callie, I think the more you force yourself to change and mold, the more they're gonna do that.
yeah,
And
so
if you don't get out, okay, fine, but at least you're flowing with who you really are.
exactly. So from now on, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do, like getting in the shower, cleaning my room. But I'm still gonna be myself. I'm still gonna be the loud, colorful version of myself I've always been.
Amen to that. Because when you're like, God, I can't force myself to be anything else. Like, um now I guess in a way I do when I'm at work though. I don't know. There's this kind of sub concept of Wu Wei that when you try something for long enough and it becomes a learned habit, then it's no longer effortful action. Like the more you try something, the more you learn how to do something, then the more it flows, then that becomes your standard. So that's another kind of sub idea of Wu Wei is when you try something for long enough and it becomes a habit. Those are good for like survival things, like and like getting into a routine of like working, getting yourself like work ready and making that your standard. Like eventually it becomes the norm, right?
Yeah.
Eventually that kind of effort becomes a norm. So then it becomes effortless. One moment, Callie. So then that effort becomes effortless because you're used to doing it. You get muscle memory, and you get yeah.
There's also another side to that. What about the times where you're trying and trying and trying to keep this routine that's just not working for you?
Then you can just stop trying. It's as simple as that, and flow with something else. Something else will come to you. Yeah. Yeah. All right. But Callie, it was so cool to see that, see that idea finally click. It was so
Yeah.
cool to see that because
I was heading down a dangerous, really dangerous rocky path, and Alex reminded me of the same thing he'd been saying for 3 weeks now. And just in that moment, it was the right moment. My brain needed to hear it.
yeah.
People don't realize how much their words can affect someone. I don't think people realize the power that words have behind them.
There was some divine intervention though through too, I believe, because like I held off on like one of my friends and including a girlfriend, but I held off on that knowing I had a funky feeling that something was up. Like I had to like my intuition was talking to me. I was like, oh, okay, I gotta check on my bro here, see what's going on. So it's like, so I called you up, yesterday, and you answered like right away. Like you were ready. It was quick. You answered it right away. But you were already ready to like make a phone call and do some damage yourself. But and okay, fine. That path has already been canceled out. Thank goodness. So I'm glad, Callie, that it was so cool to see that click. That consistency of truth finally, like, it caught up to you, and you realize, like, oh, this is what it means to not force. It finally makes sense. It was so cool to see that. It's like your neural pathway just like switched into coherence. It was so cool to see. um and it is really true. It's a true concept that works for thousands of years. This has been going on since like ancient China, right? This was an idea that was brought up in ancient Chinese politics, divided into Taoism and Confucianism, and they kind of work together to figure things out, how to live.
Have you ever noticed how sometimes the oldest things are the best advice?
They are
They
the
work.
oldest things that have survived, though. Now, the oldest things that have survived, all right, old ideas are the best ideas. They survive.
Even some that haven't survived, I'm pretty sure that if we were to bring some things back, society would thrive as well.
I would love to bring Wu Wei back to like the Western culture, because it's an Eastern thing. It's not so much here in the West. I think a lot of this is something that has kind of been a goal of mine, to bring it back. Bring that old idea back.
Definitely brought it back in my head.
Because I brought it back into my life about, I want to say, a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago. I kind of brought it back in to practice Taoism. And when was this? I finally got the audiobook of Tao Te Ching, and I read it. I listened to it, and it was right when I needed it too, because I was getting too competitive, right? To the point where people like literally, I was going down a bit of a path myself during Corona, during the 2020 and 2021. It kind of went into 2021, to the point where I was so competitive, that I was trying so hard to force myself to win over people that are staying home, staying safe, being a good little sheep. I was going down a path where I didn't care that people were dying. I didn't give, in fact, it was like the other way around. It was like, okay, they're not doing so good. I'm doing great. I'm gonna keep going. I didn't care.
Yeah, I was
But my compassion was dwindling as a result of this. Like I had very little compassion because of what was going on in the world. But that forcing that competition for too long, it takes a toll. It really does take a toll on you. So another translation I found for Wu Wei was non-contending. And what this means, there was a part in the Tao Te Ching that if you're a competitive person, this might be very helpful. It means like advancing without trying. So like when the work is done, it is done, and you retire. Like, when you've already competed and you won, and you retire. That's why it is eternal. You rest after the work is done, and that's okay. I learned this from the Tao Te Ching. So now, like, I'm back. I'm back. Like I get it. Like I'm back on the side of life right now. I'm not trying to anymore. Like, because I don't have to. I don't have to. Like, I don't have anything to. I really don't have anything to prove anymore, because my actions are effortless now. Like I really, I don't have to try. Like I do, but go ahead, Callie.
So that's kind of similar to what I just went through. Although with you it spanned years, with me it spanned about a few weeks to a month.
May have been a little more intense too.
Mine was focused. to where I didn't care what happened to people. My empathy levels were low. And I'm an empath. I can still feel how other people are. I can feel how they're feeling. I didn't care. I wanted to turn around and walk away and make them worse.
Yeah.
But now, having my eyes open to just this simple Wu Wei,
Yeah.
it I'm back. I
Yeah.
feel me again.
Yep. Because you're not contending. You're not like, yeah. And if someone has to try to be nice, when they have to follow a rule, when they have to follow a law or a rule then is it authentic? I don't think it is.
No.
So when you kind of put your hands up and say, and stop trying and get the proper care, and you can care for others, but then your actions become effortless and authentic. You actually are doing for the right reasons. Yeah.
I actually realized while we were starting this episode that I had been practicing Wu Wei for a long time. I just didn't know what it was called.
You
So
did. Okay.
when I was younger, you know how when you're younger and you do something bad, your parents are like, go apologize.
Hmm.
You're not ready to apologize. I have it set that when I apologize, it comes from the heart because I'm not going to apologize to you when I'm still angry.
Yep.
Let it go. And it comes from the heart then.
Hmm. I've actually, I done that. Same here. Like I can't lie to you. If I'm really not sorry about something, it's authentic. You will know if I'm not. But then on the contrary, on the contrast, on the other side of that coin, my apologies will be authentic
Always.
because when I'm ready to say it, and I actually am, then I'll say it. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's another thing that can't be forced. Like, especially, I think, yeah, as a kid, it kind of has to be trained. Like, okay, this was bad. Maybe you should go apologize for this. But as an adult, it's got to come from within. It can't be forced. Otherwise,
One,
you can just tell it looks forced. You know, yeah.
one of the things my dad did that helped me train myself to be able to do this while I'm older is he would give me time to sit there and think about what I'd done before I apologize. He, he
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say anything like when you're ready to apologize or anything like that. He would just give me time to
Yep.
actually mean it without telling me he was giving me time to actually mean it. And that helped a lot. Sometimes, and I guess that was his way of kind of getting me to practice Wu Ways because he wasn't telling me what he wanted. He wasn't
Yeah.
conditioning my mind. He was letting me go about it the way I needed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in a sense, sounds like he was practicing Wu Wei too, because he was observing how you would form as a result of that. Just kind of sitting back and observing how you would develop it with that.
Now
You
I
know?
don't apologize unless I'm sorry. It always comes from the heart. It's always authentic. Every time.
Yep. There's this symbol that I found of that's based on the infinity symbol. So there's this idea of the karmic wheel um, that we can get stuck on. We can get stuck on this karmic wheel. Um, but there's this other symbol of the infinity symbol. What it is, it's a snake, right? That's coiled in an infinity symbol. One of them is biting its own tail, where the other infinity symbol has the cobra's head sticking up over the infinity symbol. Well, I'm like, what the hell? What does this represent? I looked into it, and this is one of the things that I guess Alan Watts says he has this idea, this concept of like black implies white, good implies evil. That they are like there are polarizations of the same magnet, so to speak, of good and evil, black and white, light and darkness. But I must say, I must disagree with them about not wanting the good to win. You know, ideally, you want your highest ideal to come out on top, because um, that's freeing yourself from the karmic wheel. So, sure, okay, good implies evil, black implies white, yin and yang, okay, I get that. But I believe that there is a way off the karmic wheel, and there's a way to orient that to the positive, like a positive sum game, win and lose. Now, how about like we help the metagame win, the seeker? You know what I'm saying?
Like helping the evil turn into good.
In a sense,
I like
yeah,
that.
like integrating it. Yeah. So there's a symbol of this snake. That's the infinity symbol. It's also a representation of the karmic wheel. But one of the symbols has the cobra's head going up over it, right? So okay, I think to me what that means is orienting the light, the good, to win, to rise up over the karmic wheel. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck on this up and down, win, lose. Eventually, that can wear out, right? And you have no goal, you have no orientation to good or evil. But with this idea of this freeing ourselves off the karmic wheel, and I think Wu Wei is one of the ways to get there. Is one of the ways to and living in accordance with nature and living in accordance with growth. Yeah, you know, win lose, but then in the metagame you win because you're able to grow. You know, you're able to, yeah. Let me see if I can find that symbol. Well, here's the one with the here, I'm going to share the screen here. So here's the one. Let me see if I can find one where it's sticking its head up over it, because it's a pretty profound idea, I think. So here's the one where he's on the karmic wheel. He's but there's another concept where an image where like this one, that one, he's rising above the karmic wheel. So here we go. Here's another one. So this symbol here, I think, means that there's this idea of we can actually get off of this cycle of good and bad and rise above it in a way, by orienting ourselves to do good, and you know, to perform at our whatever our amalgamation of a good ideal is, and become that. We can choose to become that, and choosing to become that is to stop forcing. One of the ways that you can just choose to let some of that go and free yourself from the zero-sum game of like good and evil and winning and losing, and you can free yourself from that in a way. Curious as to Wu Wei as being one of the ways to do that, to achieve that. So Alan Watts says that, you know, there's this idea that you must survive, like good must cancel out black. But then the only drawback with that though is that there's an anxiety that black will win, that is going to cancel out the white. Well, in nature, that doesn't happen, actually. I think scientifically, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Even in physics, this is true, where there's polarities within a union. So anyway, it's just an interesting side topic of Wu Wei, but I think Wu Wei is one of the ways that we can free ourselves from that karmic wheel, so to speak. Making our actions effortless, either through training and trying, and then it becomes your normal, or if it's something that's not working out, just let it go. Stop forcing it. Stop forcing it, It's all right. So, Callie, anything you want to add to this?
No, I think we've got it covered.
Good stuff.
Time to wrap up the episode, actually.
That was awesome. All right.
My name is Callie Keikua Weaver. We have our co-host,
Alexander Hodge.
And this is Thoughts at Midnight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and let it come and let it go.